Alien officer strikes human child. Deathworlders drop her head at the Council's feet. The trade station orbited Kepler 442b at L2, a neutral zone where 17 species maintain diplomatic presence. Security officer Vexthar of the Ethereal Collective had served there for 7 cycles without incident. He was a being of crystalline structure, existing partially outside conventional space-time, a form that made physical confrontation impossible for most species. He had never encountered humans before the colony arrived. Dr. Elena Kowalski was the station administrator. Her daughter, Sophie, 8 years old, copper-haired, with her mother's sharp eyes, had been born on the station. She was the first human child in the collective's territory. Elena kept her away from the diplomatic sectors, but Sophie had other ideas. The crystalline structures in the observation dome fascinated her. She would press her small hands against the transparent barriers, watching the stars refract through Vexthar's body as he patrolled. He had warned her twice, politely, in the patient manner of beings who measured time in centuries. On the third incident, she touched him, not maliciously. Children explore. Sophie's small hand reached out and made contact with Vexthar's outer lattice, a gesture of curiosity that would have been innocuous with any biological species. But Vexthar operated on principles of quantum sensitivity. Her touch disrupted 17 simultaneous probability states. The pain was involuntary, so was the response. His crystalline structure sharpened, reflexively contracting. A single facet of his body struck Sophie across the face with force that no human child could withstand. She fell. Blood pooled on the polished station floor, red, organic, utterly foreign to the sterile diplomatic environment. Elena found her daughter unconscious in the medical bay. Vexthar had carried her there himself, his form flickering with what might have been distress. He filed a report. Physical contact with the ethereal officer resulted in defensive response. Human juvenile sustained minor contusion. Sophie's orbital socket was fractured. Her left eye would never open fully again. Elena did not file a complaint with the Collective Council. She simply sent a single message to the human colonies on Mars, Europa, and the outer settlements. The message contained 3 pieces of information: the station's coordinates, Vexthar's identification code, and the video file of Elena's daughter in the medical bay. The Deathworlders arrived 72 hours later. They called themselves that as a joke, a reference to Earth's hostile biosphere, the planet that had forced human evolution toward resilience and aggression. But they did not laugh when they came to Kepler 442b. The Deathworlder contingent consisted of 6 humans, former military, combat trained, augmented with neural enhancements that allowed them to process tactical information at speeds that made most species seem stationary. They did not request permission to dock. They simply did. The Council convened an emergency session. 17 species, the Ethereal Collective, the Crystalline Communion, the Zarketh Dimensional Collective, the Hegemonic Alliance, and 13 others, gathered in the Grand Diplomatic Chamber. Vexthar stood before them, his form radiating what passed for confusion in his species. The human colony has sent representatives, announced Collective's adjudicator. They demand an audience regarding the incident with Officer Vexthar. There is nothing to discuss, Vexthar stated. The juvenile made physical contact. Defensive response was autonomous. I have already submitted medical compensation. Compensation, Elena said quietly from the observation gallery. You broke my daughter's eye. The lead Deathworlder, a woman named Commander Sarah Hassan, with augmented neural ports visible at her temples, stepped forward. Her voice was calm and level. We have reviewed the incident data, she said. We have also reviewed Ethereal Collective legal precedent across the past 15 cycles. In each case, species members who damaged humans were offered rehabilitation and integration protocols. The human juvenile initiated contact. The adjudicator responded. Ethereal protocol permits defensive response to physical contact, not when the response results in permanent organ damage, Hassan said. She gestured, and a holographic display materialized. Medical scans of Sophie's fractured orbital socket, the permanent scarring of her eye tissue, the neurological damage that would affect her depth perception forever, not when the species in question is a child, and the response is disproportionate. Vexthar's form flickered with agitation. The human juvenile violated established protocols. She was warned twice. The incident was documented and reported. What more does your species demand? Hassan smiled. It was not a warm expression. We demand justice, she said. What happened next violated 17 treaties and shattered diplomatic precedent across the entire collective. The 5 other Deathworlders moved with synchronized precision. Vexar attempted to shift into his alternate dimensional state, but the humans had anticipated this. They used a device, a quantum disruptor, technology the humans shouldn't have possessed, that locked him in conventional space-time. His crystalline body, designed for abstract existence, was suddenly vulnerable to purely physical force. They did not kill him painfully. The Deathworlders were not cruel. They were efficient. Vexthar's form was sectioned and dismantled with mechanical precision. His consciousness, still partially distributed across probability states, experienced the operation as a cascade of dissolution. It took 47 seconds. Then Commander Hassan walked to the center of the diplomatic chamber and placed Vexthar's primary lattice node, the core structure that houses consciousness, at the feet of the Council's adjudicator. The chamber fell silent. Your law states that species members who damage humans shall face appropriate consequence, Hassan said. We have determined the consequence. This is Vexthar. He will remain in isolation until the collective determines a rehabilitation protocol suitable for an individual who strikes children. She turned to address the assembled council. The human colonies are grateful for your hospitality. We are eager to continue diplomatic relations. However, we will not tolerate harm to our young. We are Deathworlders. We evolved predicting danger and responding with overwhelming force. You invited us to your space. You should have considered what that meant. Elena stood in the observation gallery, watching her daughter's attacker reduced to a severed consciousness. She felt no triumph, only the recognition that her species had just fundamentally altered the balance of power in the collective. Sophie would heal. Her eye would remain damaged, but she would survive. The galaxy, Elena understood, would not be so fortunate. 3 days later, the collective issued a formal statement acknowledging unprecedented human response protocols and offered full reparations to the human colonies. They would also revise their legal codes to account for species with disproportionate capacity for linear violence. The Deathworlders did not negotiate. They simply accepted and left. Within a month, every species and collective had heard the message. Humans did not process justice as negotiation. They processed it as mathematics. You struck their young. They eliminated the threat. The equation was simple and, by their biology, inevitable. Elena watched her daughter sleep in the medical bay. One eye closed, one eye open, forever altered. She wondered if humanity's greatest strength had always been their capacity for measured cruelty dressed up as duty. The stars outside Kepler, 442b, seemed colder now and far less welcoming.